Well, good afternoon. My name is Judd Rex. I'm city manager of Garland, and I'm out here in the rain with Darrell Cline, our CEO of Garland Power and Light. And Darrell, this is what we're up against here as we try to restore power here in Garland. Talk a little bit about what happened this week and what our efforts are like moving forward.
Sure. I think it's really important for us to understand the magnitude of the issue that's before us right now. If you look at on Tuesday morning, we faced hurricane level winds that came through and did significant damage to our system, not just in an isolated area, but a large geographic dispersed area across the city. And as you can kind of see behind me, this is what we're facing throughout the city right now. In fact, at the peak of our outage, we were over 35,000 customers. To put that in perspective, that's almost half the customers of Garland Power and Light were without power.
Significant.
A significant amount of our customers were out. Now, fortunately for us, that we've been able to reduce that number down. Currently, we're roughly at 4,800 customers that are without power. But the first day, I have to commend our folks, our linemen, our system operators, for restoring power. We went from over 35,000 customers, which again is almost 50% of our total customer count. We went down to less than 10% of our customers without power in under 24 hours.
That's remarkable.
Significant accomplishment by our guys.
Yeah.
Can't say enough about what they did. Unfortunately for us, what we're facing now, obviously this weather, but in addition, this is what we're looking at having to go in and trying to restore power on a more individual type of basis. So that means we're having to go alley by alley, house by house, and restore power, which obviously is going to take time.
Yeah.
Now, for us, what we've done, we've had additional crews that have come in during this process, and today we had crews come in from different cities to help us out. Those cities include Bryan, Texas, Greenville, Denton, Farmersville, and tomorrow we'll be having crews come in from San Antonio to provide additional support to us to try to address, again, these kind of issues.
Yeah. So a lot of things to deal with. The magnitude and scope of this was pretty significant. Moving forward, so we're getting a lot of calls from customers. Trying to wonder, okay, when's my power going to be restored? A lot of questions coming in. I know one of the things that we've been asked is, my power's off, but I see across the street they have power, or maybe next door they've got power. What does that look like, and why is that the case sometimes?
Sure, there's many cases that can result in that particular issue. One, it can be that you may be on a different circuit than your neighbor across the street. So it could be that their power is restored on their particular electric circuit and yours isn't at the time. In addition, we have transformers that serve houses. Typically, 4 to 6 houses are served by a transformer. So it could be that your house is served by a transformer, but the other house is served by a different transformer, and that transformer may not be damaged, but yours is. In addition, you can have service lines that serve your house directly. So your service line could be directly impacted and your neighbor's is not. Also, there can be issues specific to the customer's residence that can cause this. Your meter base could be disconnected from the line, which again would be a customer responsibility. If that customer does have that particular situation, I would encourage them to reach out to an electrician to have that fixed. We do have on our website at gpltexas.org, where you can go in and look to see the process you need to follow if you have a meter base that needs to be repaired.
So a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different reasons things may happen. All of it ties back to just the magnitude of what happened in terms of number of trees that came down, number of limbs that came down. We're dealing with quite a bit there. I know one question we get frequently is, why can't you give me an estimated time of restoration? And why sometimes we can do that, sometimes we can't. Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. And again, I can't emphasize the magnitude of this event on Garland Power and Light's infrastructure. This is unprecedented for us. We've had damage across our system. And so from that particular situation, because now we're starting to get into local type of restoration, as you see behind me, this type of local restoration can take hours. And so since we're having to go to basically almost to a house-to-house type of restoring of power, it's very difficult for us to be able to come in and give an estimated time of restoration. And then if you throw in, unfortunately for the weather for us, that also can impact how quickly we can respond.
Yeah. So looking at the weather, obviously it's raining out right now, and the forecast calls for some more rain and storms coming through in the next couple days. What happens when it rains? Can the crews keep working? Do they have to press pause and come back? Under what conditions can they continue to work?
So if it's under rain, our crews can keep working. However, if you can imagine, if you're trying to do your job in the rain, it's going to slow you down some. And so it definitely does impact our crews whenever they're trying to do work. However, if there is lightning, that will cause us to either suspend the operations or not start operations until sufficient time has passed between lightning strikes. Because obviously at the end of the day, we want to make sure our employees are safe.
So safety's top priority, and when it comes to weather and worker safety, for sure. Another question we get is how do you decide where to restore power first, and how do we prioritize, the widespread nature of this? How do we prioritize where we go?
So what we try to do, and this is what we did on Tuesday. On Tuesday, we focused on what are called feeders. These are the electric lines that many of you may see running along some of the medians or thoroughfares, some that will be running along, say, here back through some alleys. These are the lines that support and serve large number of customers, maybe from a few hundred to a few thousand. And so what you're trying to do is get your, quote, biggest bang for your buck, low-hanging fruit. You want to go for the feeders and restore that power as soon as possible, because you can get more people back on sooner by having that focus. In our particular situation, we had 29 of our feeders that were locked out during this event, which is unprecedented for us. And so our first focus on Tuesday was to go in and repair those feeders, get them back restored. That's the reason why we went from over 35,000 customers out to under 7,000 customers out in less than a 24-hour period. Again, I can't emphasize how unbelievable that level of restoration is for a utility to be able to accomplish something like that. So that's where you focus first, is on the feeders. Then you start what's called laterals and your service lines. That's what you're starting to see in your neighborhoods when you're seeing your crews come in. And so this is what takes a longer period of time. And so we're starting on the laterals, which they may serve 40, 50, 60 customers. That's the next level. And then we'll get to the service lines, which gets more to the individual nature. So we're trying to focus on those areas where we can restore power the soonest to the most number of customers.
So start with the big rocks, put the big rocks in the jar, and get those large number of customers up and running. And that's what we did so well on Tuesday. Now we're into, I guess, more of the intricate, detailed work that we kind of see behind us here in the alleys, that smaller numbers affected, but the length of time it takes to make a repair and restore power maybe takes a little bit longer, and it's just a little more detailed. Talk a little bit about what might happen in an example of this alley here, where basically have a tree blocking the alley, probably some more behind it that we can't even see from here, and then of course wires down and other issues there. What type of work might happen in a scenario like this?
So with this particular event, the big issue that we're seeing is the vegetation issue. Obviously, when you have hurricane force type of winds that are coming in, causing this type of destruction and damage to the system, trees are going to be the big issue. And before our linemen can go in and do any work, we have to have vegetation contractors come in and clear those alleyways out. And so that's what we're having right now, is that these vegetation contractors will come in, they will clear out the alleyways, removing the trees, And then our folks can start coming in and doing the repair work. Well, the reality is when our folks come in many cases, because these are large trees that have fell, they've knocked down poles. Those poles may actually have transformers on them as well. So now our crews have to go in and replace poles and put up the transformers, which take time to be able to do this. And so that's the process that you're seeing in many of these alleys, is that trees have fallen, they've broken poles, wires are down, and this is what's taking so long for us to be able to restore power when we start getting down to more of the individual type of outages.
So do we see, that's kind of an example of a real detailed repair and restoration effort. Are there some that maybe move quicker than that and that are more simple repairs that need to be made?
Correct. There are some that you will have. For example, when we were doing the feeders in some cases, because of the strong winds, you would have the lines would hit, and so they would cause a fault, and they would trip out the line or trip the breaker for protection of the system. In that particular case, our crews ride out the line, and if they don't see any issues or problems, such as down line or any type of debris or a tree on the line, then they're able to quickly restore that power. That's what you want in the situation, is where you don't have any type of issues on the line and you can restore that power. Most of those have already been taken care of. We are now in that situation where the lines we're focusing on have some form of issue with them, and typically it's going to be vegetation.
So a lot of work still to be done. Talk about what the next few days look like for GP&L and our crews that are out.
Okay, so as I previously mentioned, we've had outside crews that have come in and helped us through this process. We've brought in more crews from other municipal electric utilities that are coming in to help, just because of the sheer magnitude that we're looking at. And so what we're doing is going through now alley by alley, eventually house by house, and we will continue to restoring power. We're trying to break these out into grid areas where we're assigning these different crews to focus on, again, these alleys, these individual repairs, and we'll continue to work through it as the weather will allow, and our crews will continue working until everybody's restored to power.
Yeah, so that's really the commitment, is we're going to get all the way through this. Everybody's power is going to get restored. It is going to take some time. Be as patient as you can with us, but Darrell, this has really been helpful in terms of just giving people a sense for what's required to get power back on for everybody. And of course, we're very, very grateful for your crews and those that have come from other communities to help us out as well with this restoration effort that's going to take some time. I know they're working around the clock,
Yes.
Really to get things back up and running, and can't thank you enough for their efforts. So if you see a GP&L lineman on the street, what should our citizens say to express their gratitude towards them?
Well, I'd ask them to say thank you. I'd also please ask, at this particular time, I know there's a lot of questions that you may have, and at this particular time, if you could keep questions to the minimal, because our crews are trying to focus on getting the power restored, and so any type of distractions away from that focus, that's just taking time away from us being able to restore power. So please, yes, say thank you to them, but also please let them focus on trying to get that power restored for not just you, but for everybody else that's in the city.
Yeah.
I would like to add also as well, please, if you have a down wire, please stay away from the down wire. Do not go near it. We are working through to try to get to each individual place where we've got this issue, but please, for your safety and safety of others, please stay away from the down wire.
If on that note, if they've reported a downed wire and it's still not repaired yet, I guess that's just going to take some time. Don't keep reporting it necessarily, but it's in the system.
Correct.
We've got it. It's just going to take some time.
Correct. This truly is an effort of nothing that we've seen before. And so normally I think customers would say, hey, I've got a down wire. Somebody quickly comes out, fixes it, takes care of it. That's not this particular situation. There are down wires that we do have right now, and our crews are working as diligently as possible and safely as possible to get to those, and they will be restored. But please stay away from the down power line.
Yeah. Yep. Safety comes first.
Safety comes first.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Darrell. This has been very helpful. And to our residents out there that are still without power, we're sorry about your situation. We definitely sympathize and empathize with it. You're not the only one. Please know that we are working our very hardest. Our crews are dedicated and working their very hardest to get power restored to you as quickly as possible and as safely as possible. So just know you're not alone. Garland comes together during disasters like this. We've done it before, and we're going to do it again as we close out this most recent weather event that happened. So bear with us. Know it's difficult, know it's a challenge, but we're going to get through it and come out better on the other side.